This episode feels more disjointed and the stakes are a lot lower. It's kind of just like a lot of people are dying, but mainly because humans are killing humans, which humans do a lot anyway.
We see them. We see that's the problem I had. Is
We
that we
see
see
one
the chaos
intersection.
of the Earth at the start,
Yeah.
and then it's all just in the
And then it's all
unit
just
HQ,
unit headquarters.
mate. Yeah.
Last night I was watching Godzilla King of Monsters, and that has the exact same problem. They're constantly like, Titans are all over the Earth right now. Ghidorah destroying everything, while we're just sitting inside this bunker watching these 5 people.
How are we not seeing nukes being launched?
Exactly,
How are we not
yeah,
seeing
like,
planes falling out of the sky everywhere?
If you want the stakes to be that high, make them that high. Because as is, it's kind of just like everyone on Earth is quite angry, and there's a lot of
and it's a slight commentary on cancel culture, Twitter arguments that everyone's aggressively right. And imagine if all those conversations from Twitter became real life, and you and I were talking as maybe once or twice. I maybe have talked to someone in a YouTube comment.
Yeah,
and I find that commentary interesting, entertaining.
I think it was done well, but there's nowhere to take it as well.
There's nowhere to take it. It's just more of an idea.
The same thing is kind of done in Kingsman 1. So everyone goes crazy.
But they just become aggressive in that.
Yes, but I mean, in this, they're all crashing into each other.
Yeah, but it's meant to be like they feel they're right, but then it's like, so what? He feels because he's right, he can crash the plane.
Yeah, they took it because they needed a big set piece. They take it too far. Of like people think they're so right that they're going to kill each other. It's not just angry and arguing because that doesn't have enough stakes.
Yes.
With the David Tennant's first episode, the blood plot, people want to jump off a bridge, even though you can't actually make them do that, but everyone thinks they will.
Yeah.
It's like the stakes are really high. You're about to lose a third of the population. In the Kingsman, everyone's murdering each other, which is basically what they're doing in this. But then you focus in on a mum and a baby. Yeah. You've got Eggs' little sister that's about to get slaughtered by her mum.
That's
and
personal.
You're like, oh, fuck. Whereas in this, it's some rowdy guy in the street.
Yeah.
The plane's already crashed.
And we're not seeing...
the Tories are already mad, and Donna's like, oh, no change there then.
Yeah,
like,
and Wilf gets his little, like, your family's bunkered down. We can assume they're wearing
everyone
the wristbands.
is safe. Everyone that matters is safe.
They explain it away that TARDIS, long exposure to TARDIS time travel.
Puts you out of sync.
Wilf never time traveled in the TARDIS.
No.
He just rode in time up to the moon and back down again. But okay, just crossing the threshold.
But maybe that counts, just like in the TARDIS counts. But Sylvia?
Who?
Sylvia? The mum?
It's all off camera. Don't worry about it.
Maybe they travelled back home in the last episode. In Special 1, they were in it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. The stakes aren't there, which means you don't really care. The only thing you can kind of get invested in is the kind of cool, dull premise and the idea of the television.
The actual history
and
of it.
And then Neil Patrick Harris's performance.
Which
the fact
I
he's just allowed to have fun.
I just wanted more of it.
He felt like he was in most of the episode and carried the episode, but also felt like somehow not enough of him.
He's not enough of him.
And I think that might be the stakes, because he wasn't a threat, because he can't do anything.
And it's interesting because David does fear really well, and so he does that. He brings back that whole, like, when he realizes that the Master's back in season 3, where he's like pleadingly, like, he's petrified because the Master's back and the rules are different because it's just the two of them. And
doing
in this,
anything you can.
Yet again, we even get a record to the whole, you and I could fight across the stars, but just not on Earth.
Yep.
So it feels like, the little callbacks of, like, the giggle is similar to the knocking, the spicy life similar to the here comes the drums.
Which semi-leads it to be like a special.
But,
like, a lot of people are still saying it doesn't feel enough like a special, and I kind of agree.
I think it's
bringing
people are
David
creating
back is the special.
Yeah, like, and you're creating rules that Moffat brought up, where the multi-doctor stories isn't a tradition. You had the 5 Doctors, which is a crap story. And then you had
the 3 Doctors.
3 Doctors, and then I think the 2nd Doctor appears in a Colin Baker story.
Yes.
But still looking like himself, because he always had such an old face anyway.
Yeah.
Just his hairs.
But
if they dyed his hair black, you wouldn't really think anything else. So I don't know why they did that, if that was just a fun or if it was some form of anniversary. It's been 1,000 episodes of Doctor Who or something. But
yeah. So the episode itself, though, is basically the Toymaker has implanted a giggle via the first ever television broadcast.
he did it in 1925.
And that somehow buried the giggle in every screen ever from then
Yeah, like
on.
he put it away as a, this will be fun at the right time moment.
But then only activates when a South Korean satellite goes into orbit.
Yeah, which is explained along with that weird robot that means fuck all off in the side.
I like him. He's just there.
He's just there.
I kinda like random
they
shit.
made sure to call
The
it in
full
the
name.
Yeah, yeah. They kept that going, even though they heed a fucking robot in the second episode.
And they shoot a fucking horse captain.
Yeah. So.
Oh, then they shoot down the South Korean satellite to stop people going.
But that's all well and good. But wait, is that to stop the world? But now we're back in the core situation. Like
I think so. I think everyone calms
does
down.
anyone take the bands off? It's all fine.
No, that's not till they kill the Toymaker.
It's like the two.
Oh, but why does killing the Toymaker change anything?
Killing Toymaker is just because he's a problem.
But they take their stuff off after killing the Toymaker. Even though before that, when they take down the South Korean satellite, they say, "Oh, that was just a chain in the link in the chain. It's not over yet."
But Russell's been pretty guilty, like the Martha Jones,
the old yada yada.
The Doctor's connected to the satellites, and now he all kumbaya.
Yeah, if you believe it, then it's real.
And then we're meant to believe Martha travelled the fucking world, a post-apocalypse, master-controlled world for 3 years.
Yeah, her and Tom Ellis, her and Lucifer just hanging out.
Yeah, who was going to be her husband, but then died. And,
but then Noel Clark was, and then he also died.
Yeah, whatever. It's so fucking
Poor
stupid.
Martha. Everyone got a doctor, but her. By the way,
it's ridiculous.
Donna gets a David Tennant. Rose gets a David Tennant.
Yeah, it's so weird to me. Like,
we can't stop. We can't keep talking about the fact that they kept David around together. It's ridiculous. We hate it, but we could love it. They could solve that with like one line. They'll do it. I have faith. They'll fucking round about that shit.
Yeah. So when we
take away his TARDIS, would have been the biggest step. But so they beat Neil Patrick Harris via playing catch because they invoke the rules of catch. Catch is a dumb game. Catch is not a competitive sport because catch is as much the throw as it is the catch. And they prove that.
You threw weirdly, yeah.
They prove that when Shooty throws it badly and David only just catches it. You could just throw it badly at the Toymaker and it'd fuck it up.
Yeah.
And they kind of do that because he's like over the edge already. Like,
I feel like that was, as someone who writes, I do write.
I have wrote before.
Yeah, it feels like it was a backward engineering. Like, okay, we're going to have them throw a ball. It's pretty fucking random if they're just throwing the ball. I know. I'll give the Toymaker a ball speech.
Oh, from earlier.
So then it's like,
I kind of like the ball speech.
Yeah. So then when it comes up again, you're like, oh yeah, we talked about the ball before. Like so it feels like that. So then it gets to feel a little bit more ingrained and not just some random let's throw a ball about on top of a skyscraper.
And also it kind of matches the whole dumb Doctor Who like finale. Like I don't know. Yeah, David's opening was sword fencing on top of a spaceship. This is throwing a ball on top of Avengers Tower.
Oh god, it's such an Avengers Tower.
Which I don't know about it. They've done that shit before.
Yeah, it's
like,
just Avengers Tower. I know it's a landing platform. We need a landing platform.
Yeah, it's Avengers Tower.
I wonder if Unit being so armored up will be a problem in the. Because it's been like the unit are just completely decked out now.
Oh yeah, like I assume RTD is probably against like a militarized government by being a lefty, and then he's made one.
But then David even kind of looks like, wow, your dad spent so many years keeping the secret, but here you are out in the open.
I like that Doctor's president of the world again, back from Capaldi's era.
I explained that they brought that in, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it's not really like if you
we can't do anything, but if you say yes, and he's like, yeah, fuck it.
And if you don't pay attention, like if you don't know that about the Capaldi era,
you're wondering
trying to
why.
figure out, oh yeah, they've just turned to the Doctor because it's the Doctor.
Yeah, it still works whether you've watched it or not.
Yeah, and I said that to Sarah, my wife. I was like, oh yeah, that's because the Capaldi era is the president of the world in times of times of chaos. Where all other world leaders otherwise compromise.
Yeah, when they say take me to your leader, you just take him to the Doctor.
So it ends with the Toymaker, who we were hyping up because we've known about him. But if you're just watching it without previews, it's just this is the villain of the week, and they dealt with the villain of the week. And also, I think the hope is just, hey, we're meeting the new Doctor. So who really gives a shit? Because we get to meet the new Doctor. So meet the new Doctor. From what we see of Shooty, it's in keeping with the traditions of Doctor Who, in which it's.
Well, but it sounds like they got the Toymaker because he was from the 60s. This is 60
the 60th. Years, all that stuff.
Like you were saying about the re-engineering from the end point. RTD wanted the Toymaker, and the Toymaker's not a good villain. He's from the 60s, where a lot of the worst villains are from.
Yeah, he causes a lot of narrative problems. Yeah.
It's Superman versus Goku.
That's what I'm saying. It's I think like Mr. Mixelplick is a similar character.
Mixelplick.
Isn't he a similar kind of character, Superman?
Yeah, once you know his name, you defeat him. So yeah, it's the kind of like all-powerful being. But he's more fun, I guess, whereas the Toymaker is definitely more murdery.
Yeah, and it's a character that can only work in certain story constraints, that if he's allowed to be wandering around.
Yeah.
And I haven't said this, but I did the whole hint that, the master's in my guard tooth. But except the one who waits, I can't possibly verse him. So that seems to be the big, because Russell loves the big, like a bad wolf sign
Saxon,
going, hey, over here. It's a reference. And
except this is way less subtle, because now the beep's gone, I'll tell my boss.
Yeah, and then
originally we all thought that
the boss would be the Toymaker.
The boss would be the Toymaker, and that the Toymaker turned David, but he didn't, because David's just tired. The Toymaker's original serial where he pops up, Hartnell's barely even in it, because he was having his turn and he's a grumpy old man.
That's right.
So they just made him invisible. And it's just a moving chess, because he plays 70 chess, so it's just like an invisible hand moving a chess piece, while mad. Steven and fucking, I can't remember, they run around the joint like fighting clowns, while the Toymaker and Michael, he just does a very cool voice, and he's like, ha, doctor, and then it's just a chess piece moves, and then you hear like a very far off William Hartnell go, no, I've lost.
Hartnell's a very, I mean, not to go off on that, but it's a very weird era, and I like that this doctor goes, God, I was so sure of myself when I was young.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Cocky
and there's that, I remember the line from The Time Crash where he goes, you know, when you're young, you always want to be old and important, like you do when you're young. But then I was running around and the quickety cricket stuff. And I like the idea, I've always liked the idea that the doctor becomes younger as he learns more. So Shooty is, even though he's not as young as Matt was when he was cast, he marries because of the sex education. He feels like very young, even though he's 30.
Could play a time,
He could still play, and it's because we only used to seeing him as a young character playing a teenager. So, but yeah, with the toy, I like the little hint that I don't know what it's for, but he recreates the Master's Ring shot with the woman with the red nails.
Yeah, which, as far as I can tell, there was no one in the episode with red nails, so it really is
literally just a dumb, we'll just do that shot again.
Yeah, got to keep him around, because otherwise people will be like, but how did he escape the Toymaker's crushed head? You're like,
so that's it.
Fuck it, I don't care.
It's just the Master doing Master things, and maybe we'll get to see it in Shooty's era. Or maybe we'll, because I always was a bit miffed that Matt Smith's the only one who never got, well, Eccleston too, but Matt Smith's the only one who never got a Master story.
Yeah,
really
it would have been fun.
I think it would have been fun. I mean, I'm sure Big Finish, if they ever get Matt Smith in, will do some kind of...
No, they use the same guy that does David Tennant's voice. There's an interesting thing in this episode about how the Doctor's burnt out, so he needs a break, and like RTD burnt himself out on Doctor Who when he needed a break.
And something I always feel is, you know, something that can't be referenced about the character, that they seemingly never stop ever. And that, even though in my head I always picture it as, for every adventure we see
he takes a break.
We see, or we see holidays like Midnight.
Because that would be insane if he just never slowed down, and he wouldn't bring Donna along with him.
It's also,
if there weren't episodes like Midnight where Donna got to relax all day.
Yeah,
like there should be time for the. I don't like the idea that there's no downtime, but it probably is just an RTD reference.
It's also
more than anything.
not real, and so there can be infinite number of Doctor stories, infinite number of 2 Doctor stories, infinite number of 8 Doctor stories.
Yeah.
So it's not real. It's the greatest in many ways. It's the greatest narrative setup ever, because you can have infinite stories with the same character who's also radically different at the same time. So the idea of saying you're burnt out, like Russell was burnt out, was stretched thin because he was show running 3 shows at one point, and was
completely his fault.
Completely his fault, and he did all that in the space of 10 years, and we're still writing Sarah Jane, because he wrote Matt Smith in Sarah Jane.
True.
In which he had a dumb... He's always been pretty fast and loose, because when they're calling for an event, Sarah Jane's one of her assistants goes, wow, you changed your face. He goes, yeah, how many times have you done that? He goes, 57.
Oh, yes, no, I already had that clip. Yep.
Yeah,
cool.
and Russell said later on, he goes, oh, yeah, but also... You have to remember, regeneration's always been a bit loosey-goosey in Doctor Who, and I don't know why the 13 times is so locked in, where so much of Doctor Who is never locked in.
It's almost like a what rule book, rather than, like, Chibnall was like, I'm going to change the rules, and RTD was like, what are rules? Like, he's the Toymaker,
I
baby.
almost love the bi-generation thing, because it almost just makes the Timeless Child just another... Like, if you just throw another dumb thing in there...
Maybe that was his thought.
Like, because,
maybe he's like, fuck
we'll
it.
just throw another dumb thing in there, because now it's like... The Doctor is half human, cannot be explained, because it's fundamental to that story.
I'm half human. On my mother's side.
You just can't explain it
Yep.
away.
Oh, just throw away.
So Russell and Moffat just ignore it.
Yeah.
They just, even though it's the only McGann story, so there's no like, it's the only live action McGann story.
But also,
you know,
yeah, it really is just like a big old fuck it.
yeah, I'm really excited. I'm just gonna get. I'm really excited for Shooty Gatwa. I just want him to have his own episode, and there's no baggage, just a simple episode with a character, and that's just what I want. I want Shooty written by someone who isn't Russell. I know but I just want to see,
just to see what he does.
I just want to see what he's like when he's not like.
Well, there's no way Russell wrote every episode in the full season.
No, of course
surely.
not. But I'm just interested to see how this Doctor does when he's not having to explain away pretty big plot holes.
/ creating them himself.
Yes, exactly. But we're really looking forward to it. Shooty's great. His accent is his accent.
There's a lot of people saying they're in love with Shooty already, as in like, oh my god, amazing Doctor.
He's going to be really fun.
But he didn't really do anything.
No, but
so like, it's kind of weird for people to already be like, oh my god, he's an amazing Doctor. He didn't really do anything yet.
I think already, and I'm not hating on anyone, you know, Shooty already has a better presence next to David Tennant than Jodie did next to the 3 placards she was acting against.
Yes. I mean, even... Oh, you haven't seen
Jodie
had... Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit, but in all the little bits I've seen of that fucking Doctor, she has an open field to take over the space, and she never does.
Yep.
Her 3 assistants, they might as well have got stand-in so the actor didn't have to stand there. They could just got placards and went, here you go, here's the Ryan, Yaz, and whatever that one's called.
Graham,
we're going to park them here. Jodie, you just stand there and they'll be out of focus.
But then they later on, they show the companions being basically the Doctor. Like, they're almost all as competent.
So what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's like it's a group of doctors just, like, hanging out. Oh, it's 3 doctors and then Graham's just, like, making funny comments.
Yeah, so he seems poised to be the person owning the space.
Yeah.
And I think he's very capable of going dark and serious, being light and funny. And yeah, I really just want to see a whole episode with him. And I love his fucking outfit.
And I love that we get to in 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
Christmas Day.